Welcome to this Pinvoicer training session. In today's session, we're going to go through how you can schedule rates and have them change from a particular date, and also how you could then use a backpay function within Pinvoicer to handle those changes. So imagine a scenario that today you find out that a rate has been updated, but in fact it was notified that it was going to change from a couple of months ago. And you want to calculate all of those people who have been affected by that change and come up with a back pay for them, and also invoicing for your customers. So from a help text point of view, if you're in Pinvoicer help, have a look and you'll search for scheduling rate changes. You'll see articles that will talk about what I'm about to show you. So in Pinvoicer, as you would know, you've got a client record, and then you have a number of pay codes that might be listed against that client. And so what we're going to do is just use a particular pay code and just use that as an example, both for a rate version and also back pays. You can, and I will touch on it through this video, bulk update. So imagine you've got lots of different rates and they're all going to change on a certain day or time. You want to do that in bulk. You'll need to contact Pinvoicer support to get the information to start with, but then it is possible to bulk CSV upload those. So we'll use this mega person pay code. So here's an example pay code with all the different pay code items. And to schedule a rates change or rates version, the simple steps are this. So you would click on, from that pay code, click on schedule rates change. And in this form, you're then presented with a form about what the rates are currently. So currently we're paying $20 and charging $45.19. And you say, look, we want to make this effective from a particular day. So I'm going to put this back a few months just because it's for demo data and also to show you some of the back pay function. But ordinarily it might be, today that it's going to be effective from 3 weeks from now. You would put the date that it's effective from 3 weeks from now. And the thing to remember is that this particular date is when you are paying somebody for that day that you put in. It's the day that they work. So not when you're entering it, but the day that they work. So imagine that this changes on the 1st. If they worked on the 1st, they would get the new rate. If they worked on the 31st of March, they would get the old rate. And you'll see that as we go through. The form will allow you to obviously enter your new pay rates and new charge rates. There's also a function. So imagine I knew this is going to all increase by 3.5%. There's a quick function that whatever figure I put in there to increase by or decrease, probably generally going to be an increase, it will take 3.5% and add it both onto the pay rate and onto the charge rate. Now, knowing that in many cases an increase there may not be the only factor of the pay rate, there might be other changes to other parts of the costing. So you would probably use your own methods of deriving your new rates and update them in here. So when I then add this will then create rate versions for that particular rate. So we'll use, I've got open orders and payrolls just to show you how this would work. And so if we then go into here, and I'll just pick out an example person, James here, and I'll actually put in, I'll just see if I can go back. I'm not sure how far this order goes back, but let's have a look in this period here, which is going to have both the old and the new ones. When I go enter hours in here, you'll see because we said it's from the 1st, it will look at the dates that you're entering from, and remembering you've got to have this entered as a daily hours entry. So if I had a weekly summary, this wouldn't work on the particular days. And it's basically saying, look, on the 30th it's going to pay 20 and charge 45.19, and then after that it's going to use these rates here. And then basically, if I was to enter, hypothetically 8, 8, 8, etc., you can see how it would be paying 8 times 20, 70 there, and 8 times 20 there. There is a function at the bottom just to use the old rate, so it's defaulted to use the new version. And then if I just wanted to use the old rates and ignore the version, I would do that. So it's a reasonably straightforward process in terms of adding those rates, and you can add a further versions. So if I go back to the client and have a look at those rates, we can also look at, if I just look at Mega Industries, and I'll get that particular mega person rate. There is function there to do a couple of other things. So you can imagine an instance that the rates have changed this year. You can see you can schedule now another version. So it's going to default to the next available day. So we already know that it goes from the original rate to the first. So it won't let me set a date for the first. So imagine it's unlikely they changed on the first and then they subsequently changed the next time you can change them on the second. And so on. So there's that type of scenario. If we were bulk adding, that's where you would click add via CSV. And as I said, you'd need to contact Pinvoicer support to get the starting point and the information for you then to, in that spreadsheet to adjust your rates so that they're in a format that can be imported. And you can also see from the rate, so if I just go back once more, you can see a rate history, which will show you all of the different versions. So you can go back to a previous date and look it up. In this case, we've just got the one, and you can see what it was and when it's updated for. So it's a relatively straightforward process. As I said, we just would need to understand what you want to change and when you want to change. And so there's those very same placements or orders or bookings, or same words for the different words for the same thing. In Recruit Online would now not need to be changed. They just continue to be the same booking. But from the date that the rates change, they will start to use the new rate version. And then if you change those again, it will use whatever your subsequent changes are. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is just to go into the back pay part of it. So this, again, is building on the scenario that we've got brand new rates for this particular job, a mega person, whatever that is. And here we want to go, hey, well, we updated this as of the 1st of April. Are there any people who would be affected by past pays that they've had? And therefore, we want to work out the difference between what they were paid and what the new rate was, and similarly what the new charge rate was. So to do that, you're going to back pay batches, and you would then go into add a back pay, and this allows you to look it up. So if we go, again, just to keep it in line with what we looked at, we're looking at all pays within those dates, for example, and then we'll search for a client. So if we go Mega Industries, and then again, we're going to search for a pay code. So if we go, just type it in, mega person. So now if I search for it, what this is going to do is show me all of those pays that would be affected. And the columns that I see here, so if I just scroll down to the bottom, I've got options like on a lot of Pinvoicer reports of column visibility. So if I wanted to see more information about, if you've got different payroll entities, many of our clients have multiple businesses they're running through Pinvoicer, or obviously the client, if you want to see the charge rate, the new charge rate, the charge difference, etc. All of that is available as options here. And so the idea is that this stage you're able to get the information, and then from here you might choose to review it. So you would maybe download it as a CSV and just review different parts of it. But imagine that this is all in keeping with what you want to then process as a back pay. If I just in this case select all, add them as back pays. And then this will bring me to the ability to search for the back pays if they were in here. But if I go back, they actually go into what is called a back pay batch, which is this, and these are unprocessed. So, and I apologize, I clicked on the wrong thing. These are unprocessed. So basically what's happened is we've summarized the differences. And, for example, on a particular week ending, this person works 16 hours of normal hours at 20 hours and has got 70 cents difference. The new rate is this. So 16 times 70 is $11.20. So this would be the new transaction row that would be created when we choose to process these. So again, just making this as simple from a demonstration point of view as possible. If all of this was what you then ratified and confirmed that you've got the right people in your range of data here and the right clients that you want to update for. You also have options. So for example, if you just wanted to pay and not charge, or charge and not pay, you can do that. But here I'm going to select them all and I'm going to do both pay and charge. So if I create those back pay transactions, it creates a step of back pay batches, which would then be in here, and you would process this. It looks a lot like a normal open batch that you would be used to in a normal payroll process. And here it would go through and just summarize all of the differences, and then it will calculate any tax and super and all of the other on costs that are relevant to that. Similarly, what it does is on the invoicing side of things, it would have created all of the current transactions for the back pays. So in this case, if I just click through for that particular client, it will have all of the different items, and depending on how it's grouped, it will show on the invoice for all of the different amounts. So some clients might just put on one big summary, and others might want it line by line. So I hope that gives you a reasonable overview of the process. It is reasonably straightforward, but again, it's sort of understanding how you firstly need to change the rates and put a version date from. You don't have to set to, it's going to assume it's going to ongoing until you change it. And then if you want to find people who would be affected by a change that maybe happened that you are backdating, you would then use the backpay function to do that. And naturally, if you have any questions, please talk to Pimvoicer support or have a look in the Pimvoicer help text. Thank you.